Here at RPM, we think we've spotted a bit of a trend, and that trend is for motor manufacturers who own other motor manufacturers to try and combine their talents. So recently we had the Mini inspired by Goodwood, which was basically BMW trying to make a Mini look like a Rolls-Royce. And now we have a Fiat that's trying to be a Ferrari. This is the 695 Tributo Ferrari, and even if you don't speak Italian, you can pretty much guess what it's about. Fiat owns Ferrari, a well-known fact that a lot of Ferrari drivers would prefer was not so well known. And given that Abarth performance parts have been common to both companies for a few decades now, the parent company has decided to make a car that celebrates their shared values. There's not a lot of Ferrari you can fit into a car this size, so despite the badges and the famous paint job and some wheels inspired by Ferrari, there's no mistaking this for anything other than a car based on a Fiat 500. A very cool Fiat 500. This is a car with a lot of attitude. It gets noticed everywhere you go, and those who know what it is aren't scared to show their appreciation. Fiat seem able to make a hit out of any 500. The first modern version was a fantastic interpretation of the classic, and each of the Abarth versions, including the SS and the 695, managed to convey exactly what they're about without being ridiculous or funny looking. Not a bad achievement for a car that's essentially shaped like an igloo. Abarth have tuned this motor to help the car overcome any aerodynamic deficiencies it might have. It's not exactly a Ferrari-sourced V8, but with 132 kilowatts, 230 newton meters, and a 0 to 100 time of just 7 seconds, it does a very good impersonation of a performance car, and it sounds like no other production 1400 on the planet. The sound, with its inbuilt ability to snap, crackle and pop its way through any trip, is thanks to a thing called the Record Monza Variable Back Pressure Dual Mode Exhaust. Complicated name, great sound. The interior has also been given the performance upgrade, including a flat-bottom steering wheel, slabs of real carbon fiber, and some fairly unadjustable racing seats. But to get the best out of the interior, there is a sequence you have to follow. Start the engine, drop it into first, select manual, hit sport mode, activate the diff, and get ready to go. And that's not just for the odd occasion when you find yourself on an open racetrack. The 695 is best driven in attack mode all the time because, frankly, this car is a bit unspectacular when you drive it in normal mode. It is disappointing because you put your foot down and you hear it winding up, but nothing really happens until 3000 RPM. Ordinarily, I'd say it's laggy and be unhappy that there's no instant shove. But in here, it's something you learn to live with, especially when you consider the alternative, which is torque steer. Consider the similarly powered Mini Cooper S. Its speed comes in at 1600 RPM, and it's a torque steering monster. In the 695 you may lose out on blast-off thrills, but there's a lot of smoothness and composure. Keep things above the magic 3000 RPM mark, and it delivers plenty of driving fun. All the thoughts of slow getaways and rock-hard suspension are drowned out by the fantastic noise and the impressive speed and the even more impressive grip. Remember that TTC button I pressed earlier? That's a large part of the reason why this car feels so good. Torque transfer control is an electronic system that works like a diff, using ESP sensors and the brakes to make sure the wheel with the most grip gets the most power. Booted early out of corners, and the 695 just grips and goes with almost zero fuss. To be honest, I had my misgivings about the 695 for one simple reason: the gearbox. It's fitted with Fiat's MTA robotized manual, which, next to the CVT, is one of modern engineering's low points. I drove the MTA in the Fiat Panda, and it was about as useful as the Titanic was unsinkable. But in here, they've created some sort of miracle. In manual mode, all you need is a slight lift off the accelerator and a click of the paddle for changes that are smooth, even if they aren't the quickest in the world. Just like most Ferraris, the 695 is good-looking, capable, and a lot of fun to drive. and like a lot of Ferraris, it is rare and very expensive. The 695 was never designed to be the everyday Fiat. In fact, Fiat themselves in their press release say this is a car for Ferrari customers who want a small, exciting car. No mention of ordinary customers there. But chances are, if you are ordinary, you don't have 550,000 Rand for one of these. And if you do, you'd better hurry up, because half of the 30 cars coming to South Africa have already been sold. Abarth have breathed their magic into Fiat's already impressive 1400 turbo, which now puts out 132 kilowatts and 230 newton meters. The 695 Tributo Ferrari is the kind of car that needs to be driven hard to find out what it's about. But all that fun comes at a price worthy of the Ferrari name.